In this video, we'll be refining some of the key shapes of the face, mainly the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. So we're going to refine some of these base shapes, so let's get our crease brush and let's add a subdivide surface modifier. Let's increase the resolution and let's zoom in onto the face here. And as we can see, we have a nice high resolution, so let's apply this modifier. Let's now go to the front view. Now what we want to do is get these key shapes. So what we're going to do to get a better view, we're going to extend this outliner, do a horizontal split, and we're going to open a image editor. In the image editor, we're going to put one of the concepts again, so we have a clearer view of the proportions. So let's now adjust these windows. Let's drag them over so we have a clearer view of this image, like so. Now in the 3D viewport, let's sculpt in the eyelids. So what I'm going to do is going to sculpt it with eyes closed. This will make it easier later to adjust the shape of the eye. So let's draw in these lower eyelids and then on top as well, just using the crease brush to push these shapes out. So let's have a look over here. As you can see, we get this closed eye look. Now here on the side, let's get the grab brush, so G, and let's drag out a bit of the shape of the eye. Let's go back to our crease brush and let's start sculpting out the eye socket over here. So let's push in these edges over here, up over the eye, under the eye. We just want to define this eye socket. Right, so let's now make our brush a bit smaller and let's push in the inside of the eyelids, like so. So we really get this closed eye look. Let's now go with the brush, with the smaller brush, around the edges just to sharpen out the eye socket. So let's make these small little strokes around the eye. So now that we got our eye socket done, let's go and push in these little details around the nose. Just these little corners over here, and also push in the nostrils. This is just again to define the main shape. So if we look at the side over here, we're already starting to get this nose look. So let's adjust this. Let's get the grab brush and let's pull in this upper part of the lip. So let's pull this in, as well as adjust the base of the nose over here. Let's also pull in the nostrils a bit further back, like so, and push the base up, just to get this really nice pointy nose. To adjust the nostrils here as well, let's push these up, and let's also adjust a bit the tip of the nose, just small little pushes in to get a nice pointy nose. Let's also adjust the nostrils here a bit. Let's push in the nose holes, something like that. Let's push it back over here. Very good. Let's smooth the base of this here because it's a bit messy. Smooth it out. Let's drag this back up here. So a bit smooth. And there we go. We got the nose really looking a lot more nasally. Let's now get our crease brush and let's start defining the edges of our nose. Let's define the upper part of the nostril as well. So let's just draw it in over here, get our grab brush and just pull this back a bit. Let's now get our clay strip brush and start adding a bit more volume to this nostril as well. So just make these little zigzaggy movements just to get that extra bit of volume. Let's now swap back to our crease brush and let's highlight the nose bridge over here. So let's draw out this line over here, as you can see in the drawing here as well, this clear line here for the nose. So we have this nose bridge landmark. Let's now do the same for the eyes over here. We have this nice crease of the eye socket over here. So let's try to get that same landmark over here. So let's use the crease brush and push in nicely those shapes. So now we have made our lines with our crease. We can swap to our grab brush and start pushing in the eye corner. We can also start adjusting a bit the volume of the nose bridge. So let's push in this area over here with the nose. Let's look at the profile. I think I'm going to push up the tip of the nose. So I get this nice little cute nose. I'm looking for this triangle shape. So if I draw a triangle over here, you can see with the base being the face itself. So I have this triangle shape over here. So let's make some minor adjustments over here. About there. Let's have a look at the eye. Let's push this area down, just grab it and drag it down. I'm looking for a triangular shape here as well. So to illustrate, here's the bottom face of the triangle, then I have the upper face over here, and the third face would be where the eye is. This is a triangular shape I'm looking for with the eyes. So let's get the grab brush and make some small adjustments to get that shape. Right, so let's get our crease brush now and start pushing in this little corner over here for the tear duct just to complete that eye look. So that looks a lot better. Let's now have a look at the nose. Let's define this landmark over here. So this tip of the nose to the nostril. So if I go in the concept over here and I clear this out a bit, let's define this this form, this shape over here. So let's get our grab brush and let's define that shape, that landmark. Now I'm over here, I'm going to get the flatten brush again. I'm just going to push in this area over here, the nostril to the tip. So now that we have this line defined, let's have a look at some reference. So here again, we're the model from Sketchfab. So let's have a look at the tip of the nose over here. So we have this big chunky meat section for the tip of the nose. We have this teardrop shape for the nostril. We have the hole for the nostril itself over here. And then with the crease brush before, we made this nice line over here. So we can use this line as a point of reference. So let's draw these shapes here as well. We got our triangle shape. We got our line that we drew with the crease brush. And here we have our nostril. Now remember, we're going to have a teardrop shape, but it's going to be a bit squashed since we are working with a stylized character. So let's now go to the front over here. Let's smooth out some of these areas over here. Let's get our blob brush and let's start pushing in this area over here. Let's now have a look. Right, so let's get our clay strips brush. Let's add some volume and create those base shapes we talked about earlier. Let's now go to our grab brush and adjust the shape over here, just so the nostril here nicely wraps around the whole of the nose. Let's now go into front view and make sure that everything lines up nicely with the concept. Let's have a look at the side as well. Let's make sure we have that denseness to the tip of the nose while maintaining a triangular shape. Let's now also push in the nose bridge a bit here so we get that nice cute nose curve. I think that's looking pretty good. I think we can leave the nose like this for now. We can make some minor adjustments here at the bottom of the nose. And let's start now working on adjusting the fulcrum of the upper lip. I think it's called the fulcrum. But anyway, let's focus on the shape of the mouth. So let's have a look at our concept over here and let's look at the mouth shapes. So mainly the corners of the mouth over here, obviously the mouth itself, the lips over here, especially upper lips with this peak over here, this meaty section at the bottom. And also don't forget how this connects to the corners. So now in the viewport, let's get our crease brush and let's start sculpting out that base shape of the mouth. Let's now get our grab brush and adjust the curve of the base shape of the mouth as well as the little upper lip curve over here. So let's pull that in as well. Let's now swap to our crease brush and let's start highlighting the edges over here of the lip. So let's draw these in, just small strokes like so. Let's have a look at the side view. As you can see, it doesn't look quite right yet. So let's highlight a bit more these landmarks. Let's push in the inside here as well. Let's now also separate the bottom lip from the chin as well. Let's now get our grab brush and just push this up over here and go to the side view. Let's push the lower lip in a bit and the upper lip out a bit. Let's now go to our clay strips brush and let's add some volume over here. So bit by bit, just layer over layer, just like so. Let's now remove some on the top over here. By holding Control, we can push in the volume over here. Now that we have the base shape of the lip, let's have a look at some reference again. So here we have our anatomy model again. So let's have a look at the lips. So we have already done our base shapes. So have a look over here. We have the upper lip, the lower lip, and the inside of the lip. Now we have this peak on the upper lip we want to pay attention to, and then this meaty bit at the bottom. So these are the base shapes that we want to focus on for now. Right, so let's get our clay brush and let's start bringing out this tip of the upper lip. Let's now swap to our grab brush and let's start creating these shapes we talked about earlier. Right, so let's get our crease brush now and let's start defining the shape of the lower lip. Right, so let's now have a look. It looks about right. Let's get our smooth brush by holding Shift and let's start smoothing out some of these shapes. Like so. And let's get our crease brush again and let's start pushing in the inside of the mouth. Now let's swap back to our grab brush and let's start adjusting some of these shapes. I'm looking at the reference on my second screen, so the reference from Sketchfab, just so we get the proper shapes. Don't forget to use reference when dealing with anatomy like this. Let's now get our pinch brush and pinch these lips together as they're a bit too big. And then get our grab brush again and start making some adjustments to get those shapes. So now let's fill in this area over here below the lip. This is too thin. I'm going to add some volume over here and also focus on this corner of the mouth over here. I'm going to add a crease in this direction just to get that mouth shape. So let's now get our clay strips brush and let's start filling in this lower area of the mouth. Let's now go back to our crease brush and let's start pulling down from the mouth corner like so. Right, so let's now hold shift and little taps here just to smooth out this little area over here, and then get our grab brush and then adjusting the overall shape. So I'm going to repeat the process again. I'm going to get the clay strips brush, I'm going to go add some volume, then I'm going to go and smooth it out, get the crease brush to redefine the overall shape, and then use the grab brush to make some final adjustments. So now we got a pretty good base shape for the mouth. Let's now look at its location. I think although we follow the concept, the location is not very aesthetically pleasing. So let's raise the mouth. Let's put it a bit higher. So I'm going to use a mask for that. Let's press M for mask and let's get a mask over here. So let's start masking out the area of the mouth. Press Ctrl I to invert and then use a big grab brush to adjust this location. Let's press Alt M to clear the mask and let's make some final adjustments with the grab brush. Now I'd like to make another adjustment here with the base of the nose and the top lip. It's too far pushed into the face. So to illustrate what I mean, I want the base of the nose, the bottom part of the nose to be here, connected to the lip over here. So I'm going to push this all a bit forwards. So there you have the base shapes for the eyes, nose, and mouth. This is part 1. Let's now go to part 2 where we're going to be focusing on the cheeks and the jawline.